But Damascus was literally bombed yesterday. And that's a prophecy needing to be fulfilled before Jesus comes back. It was in Isaiah a little bit ago, and in chapter 17 of Isaiah, it says a prophecy against Damascus. Damascus will no longer be a city, but will become a heap of ruins. And then it says, you have forgotten your God, your Savior. You have not remembered the rock, your fortress. Down on 12, woe to many nations that rage. They rage like raging sea. Woe to the peoples who roar. They roar like roaring of great waters.
There is not a single prophecy in the Bible that's coming true today, especially not a prophecy from Isaiah chapter 17. Just a cursory reading of 17 will actually give you the context you need to know what Isaiah was actually talking about. He wasn't talking about the Messianic age, and he certainly wasn't talking about our age. Let's go right into verse 1 and start laying down the groundwork. Now, verse 1 doesn't say that Damascus is going to be attacked. It says it's going to be wiped out. It says, see, Damascus will cease to be a city and will become a heap of ruins. It's quite a bit different from just being attacked or being bombed. It actually goes on in verse 2, her towns will be deserted forever. Now, this is actually really interesting because Damascus, theoretically, is a town or a city. So what does it mean when it says her towns, plural, will be deserted forever? Well, clearly Damascus is just referring to a northern region, the Damascus region, not specifically just a city. So this isn't an oracle against just one city, and this becomes very clear as we continue reading, because it says, the fortress will disappear from Ephraim and the kingdom from Damascus, and the remnant of Aram will be like the glory of the children of Israel. So this is really interesting because it's weird that we've got two Israelite locations, Damascus and Ephraim. Ephraim's the primary tribe of the north, and Damascus is one of the primary cities in the north, all Israelite territories. Why are they being lumped in with the Arameans? These are actually enemies of Israel, depending on what time period we're talking about. But if you read Isaiah chapter 7 and 8, and if you read 2 Kings, I think 26 through 28, you would know that the Arameans made an alliance with the northern kingdom, the Israelites, and principally they're referred to as Ephraimites and Damascus. If you go to Isaiah chapter 7, verse 1, you see that quite clearly. So in the prior prophecy in chapter 7, it says, in the days of Ahaz, son of Jotham, son of Uzziah, king of Judah, King Rezin of Aram, not an Israelite, and King Pekah, son of Remaliah of Israel, went up to attack Jerusalem, but could not mount an attack against it. When the house of David heard that Aram had allied itself with Ephraim, the heart of Ahaz and the heart of his people shook as the trees of the forest. So we already know, if you're just reading Isaiah contextually, that there's an alliance between these northern kingdoms and the Arameans, the enemies of Israel, and God is seeking to punish these people because of the alliance and because they attacked Judah, the chosen tribe. And of course, that's why it says further in Isaiah chapter 17, on that day, the glory of Jacob will be brought low, and the fat of his flesh will grow lean. So the bombing of Damascus doesn't actually make any sense. Damascus is really no longer an Israelite territory. They're bombing a modern Syrian territory. But at the time that this was written, Damascus was an Israelite territory. It's actually one of the border cities within Israel. There would have been foreigners there for sure, and perhaps that's why the alliance with the Arameans was so prevalent, because they were basically next door neighbors, right? But God is bringing low the glory of Jacob. He's punishing the northern tribes, and he's punishing the Arameans all at the same time. And if we keep reading the chapter, we'll see that God is punishing his own people, not the Syrians. And he's doing it because for you have forgotten the God of your salvation, and you have not remembered the rock of your refuge. Therefore, though you plant pleasant plants and set out slips of an alien god, though you make them grow on the day that you plant them and make them blossom in the morning that you sow, yet the harvest will flee away and the day of grief and incurable pain. So God is punishing his own people. God is not punishing like a foreign territory by the hands of Israel, which is technically what happened. Damascus was just bombed by Israel. But Isaiah is actually talking about Israel being punished specifically because of an alliance with a foreign nation that worships other gods, in which Israel started to participate in that foreign worship. Now, how is God going to punish these people? He's going to punish them by bringing the Assyrians upon them. If you go to Isaiah chapter 7, maybe the most famous chapter of Isaiah, he just tells you, it says, "Before the child knows how to refuse evil and choose good, the land before you, whose two kings you are in fear of, will be deserted." That's the Ephraim territory, the northern territory, and the Arameans. So how's this going to happen? "The Lord will bring on you and your people and all of your ancestral house such days that have not come since the day that Ephraim departed from Judah, the king of Assyria." And if you read the rest of Isaiah and you read your historical books, Chronicles and Kings, you will discover that God did just that. God brought the Assyrians down from the north, and they completely wiped out the northern tribes and the Arameans all in one swoop, completely annihilated the whole area. So if this prophecy came true at all, it came true when the Assyrians swept through and completely devastated the land. It has nothing to do with things that are going on today, nothing whatsoever. The only reason why somebody would get that notion is if they didn't bother to read the rest of the Bible and understand any of the context. If you just take any passage from a prophet and you don't have no idea what's happening historical, geographically, contextually, you have no idea what's going on there, you can make any prophecy in the Bible about something happening today. It's just a matter of connecting dots to things that really don't belong. Anyone can take a scatter plot and connect random dots. But once you start reading the context and the history and you start understanding what was going on at the time the prophecy was given, then it's quite clear that it has nothing to do with today and everything to do with what was happening at the time that the prophet lived. And just as a side note, I don't know why this creator decided to randomly state that like this is an event that needed to happen before the Messiah comes back, because there is no second coming in any prophecy of the Old Testament. None. There's only one coming of the Messiah. And so just randomly inserting it like, well, yeah, this has to happen before Jesus comes back, that's not in the book at all. Chapter 17 addresses nothing about the coming of the Messiah. It says nothing about the coming of the Messiah whatsoever. So that like creator just randomly inserted that. I don't know where she got that information from, but she didn't get it from the Bible.